Bill Gates built habits that gave him extraordinary leverage over his time and thinking. This isn't about becoming him. It's about deconstructing his operating system to build your own. No hero worship, just repeatable practice. Start with the idea that time and learning are your most valuable assets. We've distilled Gates's playbook into 12 secrets, a framework for learning, deciding, and executing with greater impact. Each secret ends with a concrete micro-experiment you can try this week. Secret 1. Treat reading as directed research, not passive consumption. Gates doesn't just read books, he interrogates them. He starts with a question and uses the book as a tool to find the answer. This transforms reading from a leisurely activity into a strategic one. For example, instead of casually reading about AI, you'd ask, how can I use this to automate one task in my business? You're no longer just a reader, you're a researcher on a mission. Micro-experiment 1. Before you read your next nonfiction chapter, write down one specific question you want it to answer. Secret 2. Practice aggressive single-tasking. When Gates reads, he reads. He doesn't have a TV on or notifications pinging. In our hyper-distracted world, this is a radical act. Protecting your attention is the prerequisite for deep thinking. Your brain can't build rich mental models if it's constantly context-switching between 10 open tabs. Micro-experiment 2. Schedule a 25-minute, single-task block to read, with your phone in another room and all notifications disabled. Secret 3. Externalize your thinking with a dedicated note-taking system. Gates is famous for his meticulous notes. He actively processes information by writing it down. This act of translation, from the author's words to your own, is where learning solidifies. Relying on memory alone is a recipe for losing valuable insights. By creating an external second brain, you give yourself a searchable, reliable archive of your best ideas. Micro-experiment 3. For 1 week, take all your reading notes in a single dedicated notebook or digital document, not in the margins of the book. Secret 4. Distill every chapter into a one-sentence summary. This is a powerful forcing function for clarity. It's easy to read 20 pages and feel like you understood them. It's much harder to prove that understanding by condensing the core argument into a single, coherent sentence. If you can't, you haven't truly understood it yet. Micro-experiment 4. After reading your next chapter, close the book and write one sentence that captures its single most important idea. Secret 5. Make one concrete decision per book. Information is useless until it changes how you behave. After finishing a book, ask yourself, based on what I just learned, what is one thing I will start doing, stop doing, or do differently? This bridges the gap between theory and practice. For instance, after reading a book on sleep, your decision might be, I will stop looking at screens 60 minutes before bed. It has to be specific and binary. Micro-experiment 5. At the end of your next book, write down one decision you will implement in the next 48 hours. Secret 6. Schedule non-negotiable. Think blocks. Gates is legendary for his think weeks. You can capture the essence of this with a think hour. This is a recurring, sacrosanct appointment on your calendar dedicated solely to high-level strategic thought, away from the daily grind of emails and meetings. This is not catch-up time. It's proactive, generative time that you must defend ruthlessly. Micro-experiment 6. Schedule one recurring 90-minute think block in your calendar for the same time each week for the next 4 weeks. Secret 7. Actively map connections across diverse domains. Gates doesn't just read about one topic. His breakthroughs come from connecting the dots between them. Innovation is born from applying a model from one field to a problem in another. For example, applying the biological concept of natural selection to your marketing strategy, systematically testing ad campaigns to see which ones survive. Micro-experiment 7. During your next think block, take 2 ideas from different books or fields and try to find at least one practical connection between them. Secret 8. Formalize your thinking by writing a 1-page memo. An idea that feels brilliant in your head often falls apart when you're forced to articulate it in clear, written prose. Writing forces logical rigor. It exposes gaps in your reasoning and compels you to build a coherent argument. Instead of just thinking about a new project, write a one-page memo outlining the problem, your proposed solution, and the key assumptions. Micro-experiment 8. After your next think block, synthesize your main insight into a structured one-page memo of no more than 500 words. Secret 9. Embrace walking meetings. Not every problem is best solved sitting at a desk. A change in physical state can profoundly change your mental state. Walking increases blood flow to the brain and boosts creative thinking. Instead of booking a conference room to brainstorm, suggest taking a walk. This is especially effective for open-ended, exploratory discussions. Micro-experiment 9. Identify one upcoming meeting this week that doesn't require a screen and propose to do it as a walking meeting instead. Secret 10. Actively seek out smarter people and ask good questions. Gates doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He is relentless in his pursuit of expertise. You can do the same. Identify the local expert in your company or network on a problem you're facing. Buy them coffee and come prepared with thoughtful questions, not to show how much you know, but to genuinely understand their perspective. Micro-experiment 10. Identify one challenge you're facing and the one person in your network best equipped to advise on it. Send them an email with one specific, well-researched question. Secret 11. Practice strategic quitting by saying no by default. Warren Buffett says, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." Your time and attention are your most finite resources. Every yes to a low-impact request is an implicit no to a high-impact activity. The default question should be, is this the absolute best use of my time right now? Micro-experiment 11. For 1 week, pause for 5 seconds before agreeing to any new request and ask yourself, does this serve my primary goal? Say no to at least one thing. Secret 12. Measure everything with a system of personal metrics. Gates is data-driven to his core. You can't improve what you don't measure. For each new habit you undertake, define a clear success metric from the outset. Are you trying to improve your focus? Track uninterrupted focus time. This turns vague self-improvement goals into a series of scientific experiments. Micro-experiment 12. Pick one habit you're trying to build and define a single, simple metric you can track for it daily or weekly in a notebook. These 12 secrets create a complete system. You source high-quality ideas through active reading. You protect your time to process those ideas. You convert thoughts into concrete artifacts, like memos and decisions. And you measure the results to create a feedback loop for continuous improvement. It's a cycle. Source ideas. Protect attention. Convert to experiments. Measure results. This is the engine of leverage. Don't try to implement all 12 at once. Pick just 2 micro-experiments to start. I recommend the foundation. Number 4. Write a one-line summary after reading a chapter. And number 6. Schedule one recurring 90-minute think block each week. Run these 2 experiments for the next 4 weeks and track your progress. Remember, habits compound. The goal isn't to be Bill Gates. It's to be a more effective version of yourself by using the tools that work. The real change comes from the consistent application of the system. Try the 2 recommended tests this week. Note one decision that changes because of the clarity you gain. That is the first return on your investment. Subscribe for one practical productivity tactic each week. Tested, measurable, and ready to try.